Imagine a giant naval ship, as long as 2 football fields, just vanishing into thin air. No distress signals, no SOS, just gone. That's the story of the USS Cyclops, a ship that disappeared back in 1918, and to this day, no one knows what really happened. I mean, how does something that massive just vanish? Imagine a massive, steel-hulled ship, the pride of the US Navy, simply vanishing without a trace. The USS Cyclops, a vessel as large as 2 football fields, disappeared while carrying over 300 men and a full load of manganese ore. This is not a small thing, right? Not even a single piece of evidence left behind. How does a ship this size just vanish into thin air? From theories of enemy attacks and mutinies to tales of the Bermuda Triangle's supernatural pull, we're going to cover every angle. So if you've ever wondered what really happened to the USS Cyclops, you're in the right place. Stick around, because I am about to cover everything. But before that, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Alright, let's start at the beginning. The USS Cyclops wasn't just any old ship. This thing was a behemoth of the sea. Built in 1910, this Proteus-class collier was over 540 feet long. Basically, if you stood this ship up on its end, it would be taller than the Washington Monument. And let's talk about its job. The Cyclops was designed to be a floating gas station for the US Navy, hauling massive amounts of coal to refuel other ships. But during World War I, its role shifted a bit, and it started carrying manganese ore, a crucial ingredient for making steel, which, let's face it, was in high demand during the war. Now, this ship wasn't just important because of what it carried, it was a symbol of American naval power. The Cyclops was like the Navy's heavyweight champion, ready to go the distance in any fight. But here's the thing, being big and powerful didn't make it invincible. In fact, some would say it made it a prime target, but we'll get to that in a minute. For now, just remember that the Cyclops was a big deal. Losing it wasn't just losing a ship, it was losing a symbol of American strength. Now, let's fast forward to February 1918. The Cyclops is docked in Rio de Janeiro, loading up on 11,000 tons of manganese ore. And let me tell you, that's a lot of ore. If you've ever tried to carry a few bags of groceries from the car to your kitchen, you can appreciate what it must have been like to haul that much weight across the Atlantic. The ship set sail on February 16th, bound for Baltimore. But here's where things start to get interesting. The first red flag pops up when the Cyclops makes an unscheduled stop in Barbados. The ship's commander, Lieutenant Commander George W. Worley, reports that the starboard engine is out of order. Now, this might not seem like a big deal. Ships have engine problems all the time, but Worley himself was a bit of a character. And by character, I mean the kind of guy you'd cross the street to avoid. He was known for his erratic behavior and paranoid tendencies. Some say he even walked around the ship in his underwear, barking orders like a man possessed, but more on that later. After leaving Barbados, the Cyclops disappears. And when I say disappears, I mean it's like the ship sailed straight off the edge of the earth. No distress signals, no SOS flares, nada. The last known message from the ship was a simple, routine check-in. After that, radio silence. It's like the ocean just swallowed the Cyclops whole, leaving behind nothing but questions and a lot of nervous naval officers. But don't worry, we're just getting started. So, naturally, when a ship the size of the USS Cyclops goes missing, the first thing everyone does is hit the panic button. The Navy launches a massive search operation, covering thousands of square miles of the Atlantic. They send out ships, they scour the seas, they even put out flyers. Okay, maybe not the flyers, but you get the idea. They were desperate to find any trace of the Cyclops. But here's the thing, they found nothing. Not a single life raft, not a single piece of debris, not even a floating lunchbox. It's like the ship just vanished into another dimension. The Navy's official report on the disappearance basically boiled down to, we have no idea what happened. And let me tell you, when the Navy, with all its resources, throws up its hands and says, beats me, you know you've got a real mystery on your hands. But that didn't stop people from coming up with their own theories. One of the most popular theories is that the Cyclops was sunk by a German submarine or surface raider. Now, this makes sense on the surface. After all, it was World War I, and the Germans were definitely in the habit of sinking Allied ships. But here's the problem, there's no record of any German attack on the Cyclops. And you'd think if a ship this size got torpedoed, there'd be some wreckage floating around, right? I mean, it's not like the ocean has a giant delete button. Then there's the structural failure theory. Some experts believe the ship was overloaded with manganese ore, which could have caused it to break apart in rough seas. And let's not forget that starboard engine problem. If the ship was already in bad shape, adding a heavy load and a malfunctioning engine could have been a recipe for disaster. But again, where's the wreckage? Ships don't just disintegrate into thin air. It's like trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle when half the pieces are missing. Now, this is where things start to get really interesting. You see, when the official explanations fall short, that's when the rumors and unofficial theories start flying faster than a seagull at a seaside picnic. Let's start with one of the more plausible yet still unnerving theories, mutiny. Some folks believe that the crew, fed up with Lieutenant Commander Worley's bizarre behavior, might have staged a mutiny. After all, Who wouldn't get a little rebellious if your captain's prancing around the deck in his skivvies? The theory goes that the mutiny could have led to a violent struggle, which might have caused the ship to sink. But again, where's the evidence? It's like the Cyclops took its secrets to the grave, or the ocean floor, in this case. And then, of course, we have the Bermuda Triangle theory. Ah, the Bermuda Triangle, where logic goes to die. The Cyclops sailed through this infamous region, and some people believe it fell victim to the triangle's supernatural forces. Could the ship have been pulled into another dimension, abducted by aliens? Or maybe it's hanging out with Amelia Earhart somewhere? While it's easy to laugh this off as just another ghost story, the Bermuda Triangle has been blamed for the disappearance of more ships and planes than I can count on both hands. So, who's to say? Maybe the Cyclops just found itself in the wrong place at the wrong time. But wait, there's more. Another theory suggests that the ship was captured or sabotaged by enemy agents. Remember, this was wartime and espionage was as common as seaweed. Some believe the Cyclops was intercepted by a German raider, its crew taken prisoner, and the ship scuttled. But if that's the case, why didn't anyone hear about it? You'd think there'd be some kind of record, even if it was top secret. But nope, we're back to square one. No evidence, just a lot of speculation. The disappearance of the USS Cyclops didn't just leave a hole in the ocean, it left a hole in the hearts of the families of the 306 men on board. Imagine waiting for your loved one to return from a voyage, only to be told that their ship just vanished. No bodies to bury, no graves to visit, just an endless ocean and a lot of unanswered questions. For many of these families, the lack of closure was unbearable. Some held out hope for years, clinging to the belief that their loved ones were still alive, maybe stranded on some deserted island like a real-life Robinson Crusoe. For the Navy, the loss of the Cyclops was a huge blow. Not just in terms of manpower and resources, but in terms of morale. This was a ship that was supposed to be unsinkable, indestructible, a floating fortress. And yet, it disappeared without a trace. One of the most human aspects of any maritime mystery is the people who were aboard the ship. The USS Cyclops wasn't just a steel giant, it was home to over 300 men, each with their own stories, families, and dreams. Diving into the lives of some of these crew members adds a personal touch to the cold, hard facts of its disappearance. Lieutenant Commander George W. Worley at the helm was Worley, the ship's eccentric captain. Born Johann Friedrich Wichmann in Germany, Worley had emigrated to the US, and later changed his name, a detail that's been hotly debated in conspiracy circles, with some even questioning his loyalty. He was known for his unpredictable behavior, and had a less than stellar relationship with his crew. Some accounts suggest that Worley's erratic behavior led to tensions on board, fueling theories of a potential mutiny. The crew members, the 306 souls on board, were a mix of experienced sailors and less seasoned men. Many of them had families waiting anxiously back home, unaware that this voyage would be their last. Some of the crew members had written letters home before the ship vanished, speaking of their excitement for a much-needed break after a long deployment. Some even mentioned being uneasy about the ship's heavy cargo and mechanical issues, adding an eerie foreshadowing to their disappearance. The Cyclops' final days are shrouded in mystery, but the last known communication from the ship was routine. There was no distress call, no mention of trouble, just silence after its final check-in from Barbados. This lack of communication has led to endless speculation. Could something have happened so quickly and catastrophically that they didn't have time to send a signal? Or was there foul play that cut off their ability to communicate? Imagine the families receiving no word, only the agonizing uncertainty of what happened. Some clung to hope, thinking perhaps the crew was stranded on a remote island. But as days turned into weeks, hope faded into grief. The lack of communication not only added to the mystery but also deepened the emotional toll for those left behind. The USS Cyclops wasn't just any ship in the US. The Navy's fleet was a crucial asset in the war effort during World War I. The ship was primarily tasked with transporting vital war materials, such as coal and later manganese ore, which was used in the production of steel. Steel, as you can imagine, was the backbone of the military at the time, used in everything from battleships to tanks and weapons. Losing a shipment of manganese ore was no small blow, especially during wartime when every resource counted. The Cyclops' disappearance wasn't just a logistical issue, it had strategic implications. With tensions running high across the globe and the US, ramping up its naval presence, the loss of such a critical supply ship could have affected the war effort in subtle but significant ways. It also raised concerns about the safety of transporting such precious cargo across dangerous waters. While the disappearance of the USS Cyclops was certainly one of the most baffling, it wasn't the only ship to be lost during World War I. The Atlantic was a dangerous place during the war, with German U-boats patrolling the waters, ready to sink any Allied vessel that crossed their path. However, the Cyclops stood out not just because of its size, but because it vanished without a trace. Other ships that were attacked by German submarines typically left behind some evidence of their destruction, whether it was debris, survivors, or even a distress signal. But the Cyclops, nothing. No wreckage, no survivors, no explanation. It's this complete and total disappearance that sets it apart from the usual wartime losses and keeps the mystery alive. If there's one thing the sea loves, it's a good ghost story, and the USS Cyclops is no exception. Some believe that the Cyclops has joined the ranks of infamous ghost ships like the Mary Celeste. The idea is that the ship didn't just sink, it became a wandering phantom of the sea, doomed to drift across the ocean for all eternity. There have been occasional sightings of the Cyclops by other ships, though none have been confirmed. In these tales, sailors speak of encountering a massive, rusting ship floating aimlessly in the distance, its deck eerily silent, with no sign of life. Some even claim to have seen spectral figures aboard the ship, adding a layer of supernatural spookiness to the legend. While these stories are more maritime folklore than fact, they've kept the spirit of the Cyclops alive, literally. The sea has always been a place of superstition. From ancient times, sailors have believed in curses, omens, and bad luck. The disappearance of the USS Cyclops has sparked its own set of superstitions, with some speculating that the ship was cursed from the start. Maybe it was the unusual cargo, manganese ore, that was said to have mysterious properties. Or maybe it was the ship's captain, with his erratic behavior and German roots, who brought a dark fate upon the crew. There's even speculation that the ship was built on cursed ground, or that it sailed through a cursed area. The idea of curses adds an almost poetic tragedy to the Cyclops' fate, making it more than just a mechanical or wartime failure, but a victim of forces beyond human understanding. While the Cyclops disappeared long before the Bermuda Triangle became infamous, modern believers in the paranormal often link its disappearance to this mysterious region. The ship sailed near the area now known as the Bermuda Triangle, and its unexplained disappearance has been lumped in with other famous vanishings, like Flight 19 and the USS Scorpion. The Bermuda Triangle has been blamed for a number of strange events, including magnetic anomalies, strange lights, and even time warps. Could the USS Cyclops have fallen victim to one of these phenomena? While there's no concrete evidence to support this, it remains one of the more intriguing and spooky theories surrounding the ship's disappearance. Over the years, the story of the USS Cyclops has become one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the sea, a tale that has been passed down through generations. It's a story that has inspired books, documentaries, and more than a few sleepless nights for those who can't help but wonder what really happened out there. Even today, the Navy occasionally revisits the case, hoping that new technology or fresh eyes might finally solve the mystery. But so far, the Cyclops remains elusive, a ghost ship lost to the depths. It's a reminder that no matter how advanced our technology gets, the ocean still holds its secrets close, and some mysteries may never be solved. So, after all that, what's the takeaway? What really happened to the USS Cyclops? Was it an enemy attack, a structural failure, a mutiny, or something more sinister? The truth is, we may never know, and maybe that's what makes this story so fascinating. It's a mystery that defies explanation, a puzzle that refuses to be solved. It's the kind of story that keeps you up at night, thinking about the vastness of the ocean and the things that could be lurking beneath the surface. But enough about what I think. I want to hear from you. What do you think happened to the Cyclops? Do you buy into any of the theories we've discussed, or do you have your own ideas? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. Because if there's one thing this story teaches us, it's that the sea holds its secrets close, and sometimes the answers are just beyond our reach. But that doesn't mean we should stop searching, right? After all, the thrill is in the chase. If you found this story as intriguing as I did, make sure to hit that subscribe button. There are plenty more maritime mysteries and fascinating ship stories coming your way, and trust me, you won't want to miss them. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the deep dive, and share it with anyone who loves a good mystery. Thanks for watching.